an incredible start to the morning, everyone. We're sitting here with a massive elephant bull, and as you can see, he's reaching up on his tippy toes. There he goes, trying to break down some branches of this marula tree. What an incredible start it is to this live safari. As you can see, we are on foot. My name is Scott Dyson. I'm teamed up with Dave on camera, and as I'm sure you're all aware, this is a live safari, so please send through your questions and comments using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. I'm obviously whispering because we're quite close to him. Their hearing's not the best, nor is their eyesight, but their smell is quite good. I've got a little ash bag here. The wind is kind of swirling around, and we're very close to our camp. He was actually eating right outside the final control room, just meters from where this live safari is being directed from, and he was enjoying snacking on one of the marula trees who's bearing more fruit than most of the others. We also were lucky enough to see him shake one of the marula trees behind us. He put his head against it and gave it a good old shake to get as many of the fruits to drop down as possible. Wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to spend a little bit more time with him. We're actually kind of stuck here. We can't go anywhere until he moves off. We've got a wonderful spot where we can hide out, and we're going to send you across to James now, who's got some hyena.
About all of the technical difficulties, but we have to make up with it with these cheeky little elephants who are busy running around and pretending that they're large elephants and wanting to attack our vehicle. Look, he's still watching us. I'm Noelle, and I've got Vildi on camera, and we've been harassed by this little one and his cousin for the past sort of 20 minutes. I'm going to start driving up. Watch. Here he comes. Here he comes. That's about it. That's about all we get. And then they trumpet at us. Now, earlier I was trying to bypass them, and this little one got into the road and started walking backwards and wouldn't let me get past them at all. Now, guys, don't forget, we're coming to you live from South Africa, from the Sabi Sands. So you can follow us, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. And hopefully we'll also be able to get some of our feed up from the Mara as well, which is in Kenya, which is far north from us. Now I'm going to start the vehicle, and I'm going to see what this guy does, because the rest of the herd's moving this way. I have a feeling he might do what he did before. I want to pass on the road, please, sir. You see that? He gets in the road and then does this. He's very little, though. William, you're curious if he's playing? William, I do think he's playing a little bit. I think he's pretending to be a big bad bull elephant, and he's not. He's only about 10 years old, and he's just realized that the rest of the herd is very far from him now. Look at his behavior. No, wait for me. Wait. I'm sorry. I want to show you. Watch, he's gonna come back. This is so funny. Now he's gonna run down the road again. Nietzsche, you're curious to know what's the difference between play and serious threats? Well, one, if I'm laughing as hysterically as I was doing before, it's probably play. But look, I mean, this is a little elephant. This is a 10-year-old elephant. Think of a 10-year-old child, the size of a 10-year-old child. It's like that. And if this was a big adult elephant doing what he was doing, or she, this is a he, but if she, this is a very different story. So this is, as I said before, it's kind of play, but it's also sort of pretending that they're a big elephant when they're not, and trying to show us that this is a big, strong elephant, and he's not. He's 10 years old, maybe a little bit younger, and he's just full of beans. What are you gonna do now, buddy? Yeah, exactly. Now you don't know what to do. You're not a big bad elephant. You will be one day. Also notice how he does his little and then goes straight back to eating. And also notice that there's no parents that are coming, like there's no mums that are running to the rescue. They know that he's full of beans. Thanks, Wendy. Wendy's saying she loves how I'm laughing at the elephant. You have to laugh at him. He's being absolutely hysterical. If any of you have kids or nieces and nephews or friends with kids, you know when you're in the grocery store and your small child starts throwing a fit and you want to be angry at them, but it's really actually just quite comical? That's what's happening. These little fits. It's just, you can't take them seriously. Exactly, Roxy. Roxy's saying it's like he's asking for the password before I can go past. Scratching his bum with a little bit of the tree there. Look, look, look. I can't even handle this elephant today. I'm sorry, everybody. I have no worthwhile commentary other than laughter. Oh. Now the tree that he's the tree that he's eating, or was eating just there, was a sickle bush, which we talk about often. Helps with toothache and tummy problems. Now he might just be going through a little bit of toothache, getting some new molars coming through. And here he comes again. He's gonna come in the road again. All right, now while I try and get my giggle fits under control with this little elephant, let's head on over to James, who's bumbling around. Nothing.
Hello again. I'm not sure how much of my first greeting you got this morning. This will be slightly more subdued. My name is... Good, beautiful. And then we have got Sebastian on camera, and we have got questions. Please talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live, etc., etc. Oh, breaker. My name is James. There we go. That's how you spell it. Good, excellent. Please do talk to us using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Is the strap still in, or was it out yet? Good grief, we are having an absolute howler this morning. Okay, let's forget all of the housekeeping for now and tell you about a game. During the course of our 5-day safari binge show on Nat Geo Wild, beginning on the 4th of February at 10 p.m. After that, you know that match that they play in the United States with the ball that's too small, it's not quite a rugby ball. It's like a sort of poor man's version of rugby. You know that game that they're playing on the 10th? On the 4th, sorry, you know that one, but I mean, I'm not allowed to say it, apparently, because it's trademarked, and someone will sue me if I say the actual name of the big game that's going on. Anyway, just after that, we start our show, and for the next 5 days, at 10 p.m. on that show, we will be a 2-hour safari for those of you living in the United States. Now, also, for those of you living in the United States, you can play a game called... Dun, 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 Safari Bingo. And Safari Bingo basically is your opportunity to win, and I say this, you must listen carefully, to win a once-in-a-lifetime trip for two to Africa, to either Kenya or South Africa, with Nat Geo Wild, Geographic Journeys. They're the ones we're going to be bringing out here. And to play Safari Bingo, you go to natgeowild.com/Safari Live. That's natgeowild.com/Safari Live. And there they will explain to you how it is you can play Safari Bingo during our 5-day binge show. We're calling enjoying it. And, well, you could come out here to Africa, to South Africa or Kenya, with your most favorite friend. It may be your spouse, it might just be your offspring, it might be your best pal, whoever you wish to come with. And that will be all gratis, courtesy of National Geographic Journeys. And we're not sure exactly where it'll be, and that will come later on. So netwild.com/Safari Live. Good stuff. Let's get back to Noel, who's got an actual animal to show you.
Thanks, James. I do actually have an actual animal. Now, Vildy and I started off the morning in our car park with a big male elephant. And since then, we have probably seen about 40 elephants in total. It's Elephant Palooza today. Now, this particular scene is super cute with that teeny tiny one, who's just copying mom and aunties with everything they're doing at the moment. And they're smelling us, but they're also smelling from behind us. And then there's the rest of, I don't know if you could hear that, the rest of the herd's inside the bushes and is screaming. So there's possibly a male elephant that's around that might be in must, that might be bothering them. There might be lions around that might be bothering them. That head shake from her was for us, and her posturing right now is for us, but it's not truly for us because we're not the reason why she's feeling uncomfortable. She's just not quite sure what else could be around other than our new presence that's making her feel the way that she's feeling. So we know that it's not us, and she's figured it out so long. They're going to start heading up towards Biffle's Hook Dam. We're not far from there, so hopefully when we get around there, we might get some views of them. We'll have to wait and see. And we'll just keep an eye on her. See, she heard my car start there. There was a little bit of a stiff tail action, and then the stiff ear action that went with it. Now, we were looking for Tundi as well this morning. We got some nice tracks, but she's not where she had the cub yesterday, where Vildy and I kept looking. And then another surprise has popped up. So James is going to take over looking for Tundi, as far as I know. And we are going to go up towards this other surprise. But that being said, we keep running into so many wonderful elephants. I don't know if we're actually going to get there. So this herd is now single file going down the pathway. Ravinda, you're curious to know if the baby elephant called the rest of the herd. That's a big negative. The herd is led by a matriarch, and she's the one that decides where they go and how they do it. That baby was just copying everything the adults were doing. The sounds you heard in the background was probably a younger elephant, teenage elephant, and there was just something going on in there which was making everyone else agitated. So the babies are not the ones that do any of the leading or any of the adult decisions, as they're babies. All right, the dam's just up here, so I think we're going to find a nice spot and wait for them to come and drink. They should start coming up in the next couple of minutes. And while we're busy waiting for that, let's head on up to the Masai Mara to Taylor, who's out and about, who has some lions she would like to show you.
Good morning, everybody. A voice you probably haven't heard for a couple of days. And you can also hear some growls as we are sitting with a pride of lions that are scrapping over the remains of a buffalo carcass. Oh, they seem very unhappy this morning. Well, at least that lioness did. Good morning again. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Manu, and we are going to try and remember how to present, and Manu is going to try and remember how to use a camera, because we've both been on holiday, and you know the first day back at work can sometimes be a little bit difficult. But remember, this is a live and interactive safari, and even though we've only just come in a little bit late from the Mara Triangle, we're still here. So remember to hashtag Safari Live and also to talk to us on the YouTube chat. But look how beautiful the scene is that we have this morning. Now, the Olololo Lions is the pride that we have at the moment, and you were with them yesterday with Jamie, and they were up on the escarpment, and there's the last little bits of the buffalo. You can imagine a buffalo actually wouldn't last these lions very long at all, because they've grown so much. I can't believe how much they've grown, in fact. And they were very noisy. They kept the entire camp awake last night. They were all roaring at I thought that the big males may have been here, the Chitwa boys or the triangle males, but they're nowhere in sight. So perhaps they've already started their territorial patrol, probably ending it now. It's warming up quite nicely. But they were also around. There definitely was some big bellowing roars coming out from these lions, and I don't think that those young male lions have got a deep voice like that just yet. So they're on the move. They've had their breakfast. You can see their tummies are a little bit full. And they're making their way down the escarpment, and I assume they're going to find a nice tree to lay under. Where that tree is going to be, we're going to have to wait and see, because they are still on the move. And because they're still on the move, we are going to have to be on the move again. Ha! Thank you. I believe you're all saying welcome back. It's good. Manu and I are happy to be back at work again. How exciting. And it was really a pleasant treat. Well, to have that kind of handed to you on a silver platter your first day back at work, it's probably going to be a good work cycle, isn't it? And looking forward to seeing many more exciting things, hopefully some weird behaviors, maybe some more mating gerbils, you never know. That would be quite nice, because sadly I've only got a few weeks left in the Mara before I go back to South Africa, which I'm also very excited about, of course. But the wildlife here is just eye level. And it's not every day that we do get an opportunity to look at these lions almost at the same level. So it's quite cool to see the sky in the background. Normally it's just grass and trees behind a lion. But today we've got everything in our favor. We had some gremlins, of course, a little bit earlier, even some signal gremlins, can you believe it? But they seem to have gone away now, affording us this beautiful sight. Hey, and that young fella's not letting go whatever he's holding on to. We've been watching them, like I said, come down all the rocks. We didn't go off-roading in the rocky areas because I'm so scared I'm going to turn the car over. So we waited for them, and they very kindly came straight down towards us. They did have the buffalo's tail at one point too, which is often a common toy for lions in particular, and hyenas also seem to play around with them quite a bit. And they're all chasing one another, but they've lost that now, and they've just got that bit of hide, I suspect, and they've all been chasing each other around with. This is just absolutely gorgeous, and it is very pretty with also the dew on all the grass just catching the light. Right, we're going to keep following the Olololo Pride and see which tree they choose to sit under. Noelle down in South Africa, however, has her guests that have arrived at the pool.
So as we left, you left us and you went up to the Mara, we came to Buffelshoek Dam, and there was about 20 elephants here. Then a few of our elephants we were watching before came, and then from behind us I can see about another 10 or 15 elephants coming down. Some of the elephants that we originally saw when we got here have already moved off, but it's definitely Elephant Palooza Day. And this is so beautiful and stunning. I'm actually going to go quiet for a little bit just so I hope you can hear the sounds that I'm hearing. A teeny little baby going up the side of the bank there after mum. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Much tinier than that other one we saw earlier. Magical sighting, everyone. So they're only about 30 to 40 meters from me at the closest. Roxy, you're curious to know if what we think is an albino, if that baby is here. No, Roxy, I haven't seen it. So, Roxy, a lot of these herds that we're seeing here, they're not here all the time. They move in and out between us and the Manuleti and Kruger National Park and the Southern Sands, and also from coming in from the Timbavati and places like that. And we're up in one of the corners that's close to Kruger. And so I have a feeling that a lot of these elephants are coming out of Kruger. So the farthest elephant from us is probably about 100, 200 meters, and the closest is about 40 meters, 50 meters. And so we're getting a lot of different sounds coming through. We've also got woodland kingfishers in the background, as well as pearl-spotted owlets calling. So I'm just going to go quiet again just so you can hear everything that's going on. Joy, you would like to know if the elephants... Oh, look at that reflection. Beautiful. If the elephants break the dam wall with their movement or their weight. So, Joy, that dam wall is made for vehicles to drive on and constantly be driving on them. So, the normal size vehicles weigh about 2 tons. Yes, those elephants are much larger than 2 tons. You're talking those adult females are going to be 3.5, and a big male is going to be sort of 5 to 6. But we, as the 2-ton vehicles that we are, use that dam wall more than these elephants do, and it stays intact. So I do think that every now and then, like when they go up the side like they're doing at the moment, you will get a little bit of erosion there, but no, they don't break the dam wall at all. Cape Turtle, good question. You want to know why we've been seeing so many elephants recently? Cape Turtle, this whole area that we're functioning in, the greater Kruger, has had very spotty rain. There's some places it's had good rain, like the Klasiri and a little bit of the Timbavati, and parts of, say, Thorny Bush area. And then there's parts like us and Kruger next to us and Manuleti. Manuleti also had some decent rain on and off, but in general, we haven't really been getting our good rain. So we have a couple of places like Biffleshoek Dam and Chitwa Dam that are very full and have nice water, and these elephants know this, and so they're pulling through and coming through and utilizing these water sources. Also, in a lot of the areas where they would have been, they've possibly already grazed and browsed enough that it's just time to move on to a different area that they might know has good food and water during the summertime. So they have winter feeding patterns and summer feeding patterns, and then droughts and things like that also affect it. So Scotty D is over on Bushwalk. Oh my goodness, and there's about 40 more elephants coming down. They're going to come down and have a drink just now. This really seriously is Elephant Palooza, but Scotty D has a tree on Bushwalk. Let's go over to him, and then I think we're going to stay here. We'll see you soon.
Yes, we certainly do have a tree, but within the tree is one of my favorite pigeons, the African green pigeon in Dutch or Afrikaans, one of our South African languages. They are interestingly called a papegaai duif, which means a parrot dove, and that's because of their beautiful coloration. Certainly the supermodel of the pigeon kingdom, and it's a little bit cautious of us. We were examining a small waterhole very close to this area, and we heard it fly into the tree. Just thought we'd give you some views of it. And some of you may recognize this waterhole. James followed the hyena that was on the move a little bit earlier to this waterhole, and he said that the hyena was moving with quite a lot of intent. So we thought we'd just walk through this general area just to make sure that there's no tracks of leopard or lion or other predators, kind of any reason why that hyena would have been running through this area. Maybe it was just late for a meeting. Very good. We are having a wonderful morning on foot. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Heating up quite quickly though, and we're hoping that things are going to heat up not just with the weather, but also with any tracks. We're moving into the area where a female leopard called Tunley and her cub have been spending quite a lot of time, and we're hoping to get some fresh tracks of her and get a better idea of what they're up to. So those are our plans. You are going to head up to the Mara with Taylor.
Look at this beautiful shot that Manu has put together for you. Thank you, lions. Thank you, nature. Thank you, Manu. It is so stunning. It really, really, really is amazing with all those beautiful rays of light and the silhouetted lions on the termite mound with all the Balanites trees dotted at the back. It's pretty special, and it's a view that you honestly cannot get tired of. I always say to you, I don't mind bouncing down the escarpment road because I am able to look down and just see nature in its most beautiful form. And of course, when one climbs up on a termite mound, they've all got to jump on it and climb on top of one another too. That can't be very comfortable. That's an odd-shaped termite mound. If termite mounds are oddly shaped, well, I suppose they've got all sorts of chimneys. That's actually quite a nice one. Now, we're just going to keep following these lions because every time that I think that it is, well, this sighting is going to deteriorate, it just gets better and better. They just keep moving into the most perfect spots. So I wonder where they're off to, because they're edging closer and closer towards the forest, and they do look like they're a couple of lions. You can't see them at the moment though. They do look like they're looking down in that way, which is no good for us, in fact, because if they go down into the forest, we're going to lose them. So we might as well try and spend as much time as we possibly can. And I reckon they'll go have a drink of water down there. That's probably where they're headed to. There'll be lots and lots of water gathering in the rock pools. And there's, of course, a little stream that trickles down. And you can imagine it'll be lovely and cool. Well, that haze is still around, though. Hey, Manu, it hasn't left us yet. Really, really interesting. So when I went on holiday, I went to the beach. It was so beautiful. There was no haze. There was just lots of sun. It was spectacular. And I managed to open up one of the big maps and looked, and I realized also that there were some massive cyclones off the coast of Madagascar. So I wonder if with all these storms that were around that were building, that hasn't brought in this strange weather. Because even in Lamu, which is where I was on holiday, it was quite windy. It looked like it was going to rain most mornings, and then it would clear though. Kind of like what we were experiencing here, but without the haze. And everybody was saying it was because of the big cyclone. So you can see there's a couple of vehicles around here, but we will get around them in a minute. We'll just let them go down. Of course, it's a bit difficult with the lions there because it's such a big pride. Remember, with the Olololo lions, there's 17 in total now, 13 youngsters and 4 adults. I haven't actually had a chance to count them, but it looked like there were that many. And they keep breaking apart. So they get in between the cars. They're quite happy to walk right past us. And we'll just give everybody else a chance. Ah, looks like they're settling up ahead. Oh, they might even drink water in this quarry. I forgot that there is one right here. So let's try and get ourselves into a position then for that. And that we can see where they are. We know they've had a big meal. They wouldn't have drank water just yet. So I now need to try and squeeze around these cars and find the best spot. I think I'm going to have to do an illegal maneuver. I'm not doing any illegal maneuvers, don't worry. I think I'm just going to cut in front of them and go all the way around. So I don't... Oh, that's a big... Yep, wouldn't want to be getting stuck in there. Whoop. Okay. Let's find a little spot here. Oh, grass has grown so much. Just keeps getting taller and taller. Okay, Manu, what I'm going to do... We'll do the sneaky way around. You saw the watering hole there, but I don't want to drive in front of everybody, so we'll just sneak at the bottom and beat them to it. Hopefully everything works. Right. Okay, well, I'll do a bit of sneaking around here and hopefully not disturb too many people. Jamie, however, blitzed off very early this morning and hoped to find those mating leopards. Let's go and see if she's arrived at the salt lick.
I have arrived at the salt lick, and a very good morning to all of you. You'll notice I'm speaking very, very softly because the only way we're going to find these mating leopards is to hear them actually mating. So for our new viewers, we had a pair of mating leopards around this area last night, and Adrian and myself stayed with them pretty much until the sun went down. Not much happened. They were still exactly where we left them, so I'm hoping they haven't gone too far away. And the sound of leopard mating is very, very distinctive and tends to carry. So it has a sort of a I mean, I'm not the best at imitating it, and I don't want to speak too loudly in case I miss it, but that's what they sound like. My name is Jamie, and this morning Adrian is on camera once again, and we are really focusing for the next hour or so. We've got a long way to travel. Adrian and I are going across the river, but we're really focusing for the next hour or so on trying to find these leopards. Now, we've sort of come across we've driven up onto the ridge so that we can have a look and put ourselves in the best possible position to hear something. I've been listening really, really intently for the last 10 minutes. Leopards mate an early morning like this, on a nice cool morning, possibly every few minutes. So they should have mated by now, if they're still together, of course. I think they just started mating when we saw them yesterday, so I think there's a strong possibility they're still around. But of course, the lions came through that particular sighting yesterday as well. They moved on, they went towards the salt lick, they didn't even see the leopards in the end, and the leopards stayed where they were. I don't think the lions would have come back and chased them, but that's possible. My biggest worry is that they're in that forest down there. Because if they're in there, first of all, I probably won't hear them. Or if I do, I'll have to be very, very close. And I also won't be able to get our vehicle in there. I don't know. We're going to keep trying. We're going to do big circles, stop, listen, because that's what being out here is all about, a little bit of patience. Oh, speaking of patience, we didn't need much patience to find the lions this morning. They've been so obliging and so beautiful. Let's go back and enjoy some more scenes with Taylor.
You've caught me in the repositioning act, but look, it was well worth it, let me tell you that. Now, unfortunately, the lions, didn't do what I wanted them to do. Can't have everything. I said that a lot. You can't have everything in life, and I think we have it pretty good out here. But I was hoping that the lions were going to drink from this main dam. You know, the dam, where we often see the hippos bobbing up and down every now and then. But now that one has decided to drink from this puddle, I reckon everybody is going to follow. So here comes, it looks like a young male coming to have a drink as well. Hopefully have a drink. And there's a little three-banded plover that's bouncing about every now and then too. Sorry, my head got in the way there. I was distracted looking around. Come on. Next, please. Come and have a drink so we can get some beautiful reflection shots. It's been a long time since I've seen the face of a lion reflecting off the surface of water, and I don't know when all of you got to see it last, but it is such a special thing to see. Especially, look, it's chasing the bird. It's going after the three-banded plover. Run little bird, you'll be fine. That lion shouldn't be able to catch you. Oh wow, look at the reflection, Manu. It is spectacular. Here we go. Wow. Now, Cobalt, you said, how does it feel not to be the Marshmallow Queen? Oh, sad. I miss it so much. I enjoy being the Marshmallow Queen, although I feel like Ralph has stolen now and will hold that title for the rest of his entire life. I'll try and get it back, though. I'll try my best to get us stuck as often as I can. But we'll see. We'll see how we end. They're all coming again. See, just sitting up top there. So this is where they've been digging. Remember, we just repaired, I didn't, but there was a team of very hard workers that repaired the beautiful roads up the escarpment and down all the way towards Hippo Pools. And this is where they were getting a lot of their materials from. Now, Alan, you're wondering if those were spots on the belly of the lion. Let's have a look. I think maybe you were looking at one of the youngsters. Now, when lion cubs are born, they're covered quite densely with little spots. Yes, there we go. You can see them quite nicely. That's just to help camouflage them when they're tiny, tawny cats and they can't wriggle around too much and fend for themselves. So that camouflage just helps, especially while they're sleeping in the grass like they should be, not running around while mom's not about. But, of course, lions do whatever they want. And They do fade. However, I have seen adult lionesses that have kept their spots before. So it sort of just depends on the individual. Some seem to keep them for longer, some keep them forever, and then some lose them completely. But if you've ever seen a teeny tiny little lion that's only a few weeks old, they are absolutely precious. Oh my goodness, Manu, there's a lion in the tree. I didn't even see that. How cool is that? The lioness has decided that she's done with the floor. She's now becoming a leopard, and she's going to climb right up into the top of that tree. That's amazing. Tree climbing lions of Kenya. I thought I was going to go a day without stumbling on my words, but I suppose that is impossible, isn't it? That is so epic. Those are the first lions I've seen in trees since I've been in Kenya. It's not actually an uncommon thing to see. In fact, it's very common. Especially down in the Sabi sand. I used to see it a lot. We'd see the Charleston males always up in the big fig trees, bounding about from branch to branch, well, trying to. Not that they were very elegant. There's another one. Oh, there's this. Goodness, you wouldn't want to have a nap under that tree. There's another one. Tails dangling, legs dangling, and hopefully what will happen is that some of the youngsters will get quite excited and try and climb up that exact same tree. That's amazing. We are very spoiled, everybody. I'm very spoiled. Manu, you and I seem to have a lot of luck, my friend. It's Manu, though, I must tell you. Manu is the luckiest person I've ever met in my entire life. He sees the most exceptional things, and that's why I try and tag along with him as much as often so that his animal luck rubs off on me. Because, sure, sometimes nature can be really mean to me, but it's okay. I don't mind. Now, there's a couple that have come down to have a little drink of water. It's all happening here today. And the cars are slowly starting to gather. And I'll keep an eye out now that I know that these are tree climbing lions. We'll see if we can get them going up this beautiful tree. Lovely. Isn't that amazing? Might even be able to, no, I think the lapping might be a little bit too soft. There's another one on its way. Tweety, you said, what a great perch. Well, let's see if this one is going to perch up on the tree with the other two adults. Now, there are many different reasons as to why lions climb trees. And one of them is to actually get away from the insects. So they'll climb up, and it's also nice and cool up there. But I would love to watch them come down because that's quite a steep trunk. I don't foresee that being an easy climb down. Going up is one thing. Now, Donna, you were actually wondering if a lion could hurt itself coming down. Most certainly, Shema, I actually watched a documentary. It's a very old one. I can't remember what it's called, where a male lion ended up hanging himself as he took a tumble and just got caught in some branches, which was very, very sad. So, as we said, lions can quite easily climb up trees. The problem is coming down, and they haven't got the muscle strength just like the leopards do. Remember, leopards have been practicing since they were very young, going up and down, up and down. The trees constantly working on balance, I'm sure their core strength, all these different types of things. Bless you, little lion, where you may find that lions don't have that ability. So, coming down will be a bit difficult. Luckily, there aren't too many branches in the way there, and I'm hoping that we get to see them come down because I'd like to see. I think they're going to have to do a big leap. They come down slowly and then leap off the trunk of the tree. Now, Kim, who is a new viewer, welcome to the best addiction in your life. I promise you'll never be able to turn this channel off again. It's great to have you on board. Now, you were wondering, how am I able to be so close to these lions? Well, it's pretty spectacular. These cats have become habituated to the vehicle, so they're in no way tame. They do not get fed by us. They are completely wild lions. But because we interact with them constantly in the vehicles, they eventually get so used to us, they kind of just ignore us. So as long as you keep your hands and your legs and everything inside the vehicle, and you don't try and get the animal's attention as they move past, then you'll be fine. They kind of just glance at you, and then they carry on with their day. But they really aren't, we don't bother them too much. They don't bother us. They hunt around us. They do their thing. And again, it's because we're in the vehicle. If we were on foot, it would be a completely different story, as you can imagine. They would run away from us. They also wouldn't want to be hunting around us. This is so epic. How's that view though? I'd like to go and join that lioness up on that tree to see what it must look like from up there. I love climbing trees. James loves climbing trees. Steph climbs them a lot too. Brent tries to climb them. He slips down them. Actually, there we go. If anybody could show you how a lion can come down a tree, it's Brent. He seems to be quite good at that. Right, we're going to get a better position and hopefully see the front end of these lions in the tree. Let's go back down to South Africa, where Noelle is still with her elephants, and I wonder if they're having a pool party.
I am still with Ellie's. Most of the action has died down, but we still have a fair amount that are here and milling about on the side of the dam. There's a teeny tiny little baby just under Mum's belly here. That baby is about a month old. It's been weaving in and out under Mum's belly for most of the time we've been here. And they haven't made it down for a drink yet. They've actually circled around onto the dam wall. I think they're waiting to get over to that side. And they're also just waiting for the other elephants maybe to finish because they have such a teeny tiny little one. That cheeky young male is now bothering another vehicle. That one that was the one that was running around with us earlier. He's now bothering the car that's behind us. That's absolutely hysterical. Gizmo, they can run at about, Gizmo, you're curious to know how fast they can run. They can run at about 60, 65 kilometers an hour. Sorry guys, I've just got another vehicle that's coming in behind me. Just excuse that noise. And shame, there's this poor hippo that's in the dam that's just over here that has been so annoyed with these elephants all morning. Sorry guys, I'm just waiting for this vehicle behind me to kind of figure out what he's doing. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. Just excuse me for a minute here. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what he's up to, but I guess he's going to keep his engine running. Sorry about that. We'll do our best to hear everything that's going on. All right, so now we've got this one young one that's next to us that's busy smelling where all the other females were. And then we have this beautiful little grouping that's in front of us here with this tiny, tiny little one, who are still haven't come down to the water and are still milling about and gathering just there on the edge. And it actually looks like they're going to move off before they drink. This large female's brought her little group down here to this side. And busy enjoying the cool water as well. Now, I have a feeling that today is going to be a very, very hot day, as most of these herds have come down early in the morning already. And they might decide to go and graze and browse around where the dam is and not go too far. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, our group at the end has moved on. So we are going to keep moving on over the dam wall. And then I think we're going to go see what we can do about some lions. Maybe we get lucky, maybe we don't. Just going to let this female cross before we head off. And again, I'm so sorry about this guy behind me with his running engine. Please excuse me. Everything's all good, Nix? I can hear you in my ear. Sorry, guys. I'm not... sorry for my hat. I'm really sorry about all this car noise in the back, and I am doing my best to get rid of it. I'm just not going to push the elephants out of the way to have this guy pass me who's being a little bit impatient. So let's let these little youngsters move, and then I'm just going to move our car so that we can not be hearing that vehicle anymore and or dealing with that. Alright, we'll get a nice view here with a tiny little baby and let our very impatient people pass us by. Sorry again, so sorry. And then there we are. And then I believe we're going to start linking over to Taylor. Thanks, Nikki.
Oh, we've got a couple more contenders up in the tree. Actually, it's quite funny. In fact, this one little lion is going to learn a very hard lesson if it's not careful. Literally hard as in it's going to hit the floor. So it's a youngster. There's two youngsters that have tried their luck at climbing up. They can't quite get comfortable just yet, but it's not like there's much room on that tree for all of them. There's really 4 of them up in there. Isn't this just the coolest scene ever? And this is what we wait for. This is what we're patient for. We sit and we watch the lions in the long grass, and you can just see an ear twitching or a tail flicking every now and then. But to see lions doing this is very cool. I don't know when I last saw it. I think the last tree climbing lions must have been the young Ngahuma cubs down in the Sabi sand. They were very fond of clambering around on marula trees. Remember all those great sightings we would have? Goodness, that feels like ages ago that my time has flown. And they're about this size now. I'd love to see if their tree climbing capabilities are still around. I'm sure they are. So it's just like riding about. You look like you're ready to push yourself off and leap to another branch. But careful, because you're not a leopard. I don't think that your balance is very good up there. Now, Dr. Rob, you're wondering why are they climbing trees? We were talking about it a little bit earlier. And normally, you'll see lions going up into the tops of trees to try and escape. What is escape? Escape biting insects. Oh, there we go. I'm sure really excited to have me back so you can laugh at my lack of ability to be able to speak, just in general. But there are not too many biting flies or midges around today. But it also makes for a very good vantage spot, and you do see lots of young lions trying to climb. Gee, you're doing quite a good job. There we go. Well done. That was very graceful. I didn't think you'd be able to do that. That just goes to show. So perhaps the shepherd's tree is quite a nice one to climb around on. They're able to dig their nails into the bark, and I'm sure that's what they're doing, trying to hold themselves into place. But they must be careful. And they're nice strong branches too, so it quite easily support their weight. Actually, they look very comfortable. It's hard to believe that there are 3 of those cats in that tree. There we go. You're trying to get comfortable again. That's kind of like me standing on an edge of a rock. So I'm quite happy to climb up high things. I just mustn't look down. But don't make me stand on the edge of something. And that's sort of what I would look at. Holding on desperately, trying to not slip. I don't think the reverse technique is going to be a very good idea, young boy. But you can see, look at those toes. You can just imagine how he's clenching, trying to hold on as tight as he can. Yes, careful. He's doing a different technique. This one, however, I don't think is going to do... This is not going to work very well. Actually, I might eat my words this morning again. Perhaps he's going to do the twist and spin and then leap off. We'll have to rate him. He's not too far off the ground. He's less than a meter away. The shimmy down. Well done. Oh, there we go. We'll give the little lion a round of applause. It was actually very graceful. So... every other time I've watched lions try and climb down trees, particularly trees with a tall trunk, they normally slip and slide and they often fall to the floor. But remember, the animals are resistant. They bounce back, so if they hit the deck, it's probably not going to hurt them too much. They just, of course, have to be careful where their head lands. You don't want to fall and slide into the fork of a tree. You could find yourself in some serious trouble. But I'm sure these girls have done it before. That's what I wanted to say. Now, Sky, you're wondering if a leopard would lock its wrists in order to be able to climb down a tree. I don't necessarily think so. I think it's all got to do with where they put the bulk of their weight. Now, when you watch leopards climbing down trees, you normally see them climb, and then they'll stop for a little bit, hold that position, and they're so delicate the way that they do it. And I think that they're able to distribute their weight a little bit better. Like I said, they've had a lot more practice. And then that descent, the steep part, is fairly quick as well. They don't waste any time coming down the trunk of the tree, where you saw those lions were a little bit unsure and just taking their time. And I think that's where mistakes can come in, because if you've lost your footing and you haven't got a plan in place, you weren't thinking ahead, you are going to slip and you're going to tumble. But a leopard, and you know who did it the best, was actually watching Quarantine climb down a tree. You may remember he's the most amazing cat if you are a photographer, because he takes about half an hour to climb down a tree of maybe only 15 meters tall, because he stops on every single branch on the way down and stretches and has a look for his route. So I think that a leopard's planning on the way up and on the way down is a lot better, whereas a lion, I think they just take a gamble and they go for it and hope for the best. If you think about it, whenever a leopard walks up to the tree, we know when it's going to climb. It starts staring up, sort of looks around a little bit after a couple of minutes, and then makes its ascent, and the same thing on the way down. It doesn't just race down the tree. Now, Cameron, you're wondering if the lions would ever climb trees and then sleep in them at night. Maybe. I haven't seen it though, but it's not to say that it's not happening. Unfortunately, we're not with all the lions all the time out in the bush. Every now and then you may hear a soft little murmur. It is a couple of the youngsters doing contact calls every now and then. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, lions will climb up a tree, says the face of one lioness, and steal leopard kills out them too. Here we go. Let's see if you can give it a bash. I think this one is moaning. It also wants to go up the tree. I don't know if you'd be able to. Let's go. Morning as they move through this quarry. So sometimes a quarry can be a little bit of an eyesore, but then when you have lions decorating it and in the trees and walking past all the puddles, it's kind of youngster on the left that's still carrying its piece of the buffalo, and it's kind of got a very playful look in its eyes. Can you see that? I think we might have some pouncing going on. Let's see. Yes. Oh no, just going in to steal. I didn't seem too upset that he's lost his toy. Right, well, while the Olololo youngsters fight about who gets to keep the hide, let's go to James. He's on a bumble and see what his plans are for the rest of the morning.
Well, I'm not really on a bumble so much as an attempt to find some signal, because we have got, courtesy of the greatest Gabonese French drone pilot in the world, Sebastian Rombi, a magnificent picture of elephants sitting in the bush, but we have got not a sufficient signal to get you that picture of the drone. So I'm going to stop up here on this sort of high point, and with any luck the picture will improve sufficiently for us to show it to you. Alternatively, we will take the equipment on this car down to the Mruamati drainage line and burn it all. And in fact, we'll get another view of something else quite fun too. There is the bushwalk team. You can see them walking through the bush there. Nikki, how's it looking? Oh great, it's gone to black screen. Okay, so we're not going to use the drone, but there is the bushwalk team that you can see. They are looking for Thandi's tracks. We too were around here looking for Thandi's tracks. We have had the most appalling luck this morning. We really have found very little at all. Anyway, that's the story there. We, I think, are going to give up on Djuma now, bring that drone back, probably kick it a few times, maybe run it over, and then we will go down towards Chitwa and see if we can't find something over there. Interestingly, Hosana and Tingana, two male leopards, many of you which can it shall know them can be. They were in Chitwa Lodge this morning at the bar. That's not a joke. Both of them were at the bar in Chitwa. I'm hoping they'll come out and perhaps head towards the Waterhole. And so that's what we'll do now. I think we'll give up in this area and see what we can find down that side. Okay, right, we'll bring the drone back here. Here it comes. And Harold, you wanted an update on Tingana. Well, obviously he's moved from his bush, and I think, Harold, you were worried yesterday that I was worried that he had an injury, but it seems that he's okay. Nobody else has reported any kind of injury or limping, so maybe he just had a kill quite close by. So I think that's all that happened there. Here comes the drone. Still no picture, I don't think. No. No, still no nice picture. Okay, let's head back to Noel now, who is sitting with a mating pair of kitties.
Alright, so while we were busy with those elephants this morning, Aubrey from Djuma found our lions that we were looking for yesterday afternoon. They've popped out of Biffle's Hook on our northern boundary here and are busy, very sleepy inside of a miter drain. Now, if we sit around and wait for a little while, we might get some action. But they look pretty tired from their mating. Now remember, they don't hunt while they're mating in general. All they do is mate, and they do this for 4 or 5 days in a row. And they mate roughly every 15 to 20 minutes, and it lasts for about 45 seconds. And that dam that we are at just now with the elephants, this is where they were a few days ago. So they should be coming towards the end of their mating cycle. They probably have 1 day, maybe 2 days left. Oh yes, sorry, I totally forgot. With all those beautiful elephants, I totally forgot about the surprise. Yes, this is our surprise. Definitely our surprise. Because again, we don't get to see lions every day on Djuma. We get lions a lot in the Mara, but we don't get to see them every day on Djuma, so it's nice to get them. Scarlet, if I remember correctly, this female was on quarantine with that zebra kill about 5 days ago, maybe 6 days ago. And then when they finished that, they were at Galago Pan for a night, and then the next morning, sorry guys, this is that vehicle we keep having run-ins with. I'm so sorry, they'll be past us just now and then we can carry on. It's been an interesting morning, to say the least, with some of our elephant interactions and other things. So I apologize profusely for any of that. We will carry on just now. So Scarlett, I'm sorry for interrupting and answering your question there. So I believe, with everything being said, they're probably on day 4 at the moment. That would be my guess. So in general, when we're driving out and about, all of the other vehicles that we meet and the guides that we meet are super relaxed and are very good with us. And for some reason this morning we're just having some interesting scenarios there. Oh well, carry on. Lions, yay. This boy is a very nice specimen of a male lion. I enjoy him. The Birmingham males are big boys. Those Burmese are nice, but they're not the largest lions I've ever seen. However, for the age that they are, so they're going to be 6 in March, I believe. For the age that they are, their manes are impressive. Highly, highly, highly impressive. It just means that they've had a lot of good testosterone coming through and doing well with their hunting, as well as their territories. We couldn't see it from where we are, but there was an impala that walked across the road, maybe 60 meters from these lions. These lions had no idea that impala was there, and the impala didn't see the lions either. It does happen from time to time. So Tags, you're curious to know if these two will go off and have something to eat together. So Tags, earlier we were chatting about the fact that when they're mating, They don't hunt in general. They tend to just mate for the 4 or 5 days. And then once they're done, they break apart. She'll go back to her pride, and he'll either go off on his own or go and try and find his brothers. Every now and then I've seen a mating pair breaking apart and then hunting together, or stopping their mating and hunting, but it's very rare. Sorry, we've got another vehicle joining us. Ravinda, you're curious to know if male lions ever stay with the pride after mating. So, Ravinda, your question, the answer is yes and no. So the pride's not here. They were with us the other day, a little farther off, but they've moved on. There's too much aggression and emotions that are, well, testosterone and pheromones and things that are going on, so they tend to remove themselves. So when he's done mating with her, that's 4 or 5 days where he's been away from marking his territory and away from his coalition. So yes, he could go back to the pride with her if he felt like it, but in general, because he's been away from his other duties for so long, he also has other females that he needs to keep track of, that he'll go off and find his brothers and mark territory and go and check on his other females. So we've been with them for, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I think in the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes, we might get a little bit of action. But for now, they're very, very, very lazy, doing what lions do. Now, mating lions are one of the few times where you'll see them moving around in the heat of the day, and I mean the proper heat of the middle of the day, when they should be resting. Alright, while we're waiting for these lions to do their mating process for us, let's head on over to Scott, who's on bushwalk, and see what he's up to.
Well, I hope the lions are mating more frequently than they were a couple of days ago. They really weren't up to much action, really. We are snooping around the area of Tandi's den, a leopard with a young cub. We're not too sure where she is. We did kind of, from a distance, kind of try and peek in. We didn't have any sign of her or the cub. So possibly she's away and the cub's hiding. Maybe she hasn't had much luck with hunting. And that's one option. The other option is that maybe she has made a kill and come to collect the cub and take the cub away to it. So we're just slowly, very cautiously and quietly moving through this area. There's some elephants not far away from us. We've heard branches breaking. So it's not just the leopard that we need to be aware of, but also those ellies. And we're trying to find tracks, ideally, of her and the cub moving together. We've seen quite a few of her tracks moving alone, up and down in all different directions, which indicates that she is having trouble finding a meal, because she's obviously backwards and forwards, up and down, trying to hunt, as well as backwards and forwards to the den to nurse that cub. So, exciting stuff, and hopefully with a little bit more time here investigating this area, we'll get some better clues and evidence from the tracks on the ground. Or who knows, maybe we'll hear some alarm calls of animals which will help us find out where she is. For you, back up to Kenya with Taylor.
Well, we're with a young lion at the moment, a young lioness, and she's on a little bit of a bumble herself. Kind of like Scott walking around this morning looking for things, poking her nose into places, but her attention has been caught by some long claws, which she's still focusing on. You might be able to see, you can see them fluttering around quite a bit. There they go. They've had enough now of her nonsense, but she's just been chasing them around from little ridge to ridge. Let's see, I think you look like you're determined. Go and climb that tree. Go and show us how clever you are, young lady. Looking up at the others, just slightly angling her eyes up there. I don't think quite planning its route up just yet. I think just in awe that those other lions are all the way up the top. But we're surrounded by lions this morning. It's pretty spectacular. Now, Liz, you said you wonder how many lions get missed as you drive past just because they're lounging up in the trees, and leopards, Liz, especially out here, because of the browse line that the giraffe have created. It's quite dense, and I reckon, like you said, I mean, it only looks like there's one lioness in that tree, but there are two. The other's just tucked up above the leaves, and it's virtually impossible to see, even from this angle. So I think we miss animals regularly, and not just up in the trees, but also down on the ground. Can you imagine how many we've just driven past? And because they are so used to the cars, they don't necessarily respond. Sometimes they don't even twitch an ear or flick a tail when they pass by. Yes, I think curiosity is going to get the better of the skill. Come on, big leap, up you go. Well, there we go, doing all right this time. A little bit slippery. Holding on, trying to hold on tightly. So whereas a leopard wouldn't be afraid to use its back legs and push itself up, these lions are almost trying to pull themselves up. You see that they're using more of their shoulders, trying to hold on. And I think that's another spot where lions go wrong. And perhaps it's just because they don't have the balance like leopards do, but that's outstanding. Isn't it? See, those claws are out. We don't often get to see the claws of lions. They keep them covered in a nice sheath to protect them, only when they need them. But definitely holding on as tight as they can. Yes, be very careful. Look around, make sure you know where to put your next foot. It doesn't seem to be worried as to how high it's climbing, though. And then we've got another one on its way down now. Oh, there, this could be dangerous. The one on top is looking down at the other youngster. Next one is up the tree. A little bit younger, though. You know, it's a bit too difficult. I haven't quite got the technique going, have you? Right, well, we'll sit with these cats and see how many lions we can see up in one tree today. But before Jamie's beautiful raptor flies off, let's go and have a look at it.
Luckily, our beautiful raptor is not going anywhere. Perched on the top of the tree, it's given us a fantastic excuse to stop and listen once again. Still no luck with our search for the leopard, but we are sitting, watching, waiting with the black-chested snake eagle, trying to see whether or not these leopards have come up in this direction. So there's about 3 vehicles around here. All of us have not got guests with us, which is fantastic. It means that we can sit and focus on the search. Not that you guys don't count as guests, but you're basically old friends now at this point with your experience watching these live safaris. So all of us are sitting, listening, watching, waiting until we hear the sound of the leopards. And it is getting a little bit warmer now, which basically means that there's a good chance the leopards are going to come out to dry themselves off. It's very, very dewy this morning. Such a sharp-eyed raptor. I find that with all snake eagles, they have all raptors have a piercing gaze. That very upright posture as well. And those bright, bright, bright yellow eyes. Scanning the horizon. I wonder if it knows where the leopards are. I bet it does. So we're going to be sitting, listening, and since we are listening and we've got not much else going on around us, don't forget that our Safari Live series, primetime series, will be coming to the States after the big capital letters game, capital letters. No idea what that big game might be. So that will be for you guys who are in the States. That will be on the 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time after the big capital letters game, capital letters. And of course, we will also be bringing back Safari Bingo. So when we see something, you mark it off on your board. And one lucky winner in the States could win a trip for 2 to Africa. So remember, if you want more details on that, you can go to natgeo.com/Safari Live to find out more. I'm sure you're all excited to know how to enter. For those of you in the States, please don't shout at me if you're not in the States. It's not my fault. But yes, for those of you who will be watching us, we will be live prime time, and we're all very, very excited. What an incredible thing this is going to be. I can't wait. We're going to be across the river, we're going to be searching. Well, I'm not going to give too much away. And now back to our open square brackets, animal on camera, closed square brackets, which in this case is a black-chested snake eagle. Come on, leopards. You're not going to make pretty little cubs for us to see if you're not busy today. Isn't that terribly self-indulgent of us? It just would be so wonderful. The salt lick female with her cubs around her, around the salt lick. I'm excited. Of course, it's pretty natural to see an eagle or any form of bird up in the top of a tree, even a tree as striking as this one. What seems a little bit odd to all of us is watching our big, muscle-bound lions scramble about trees.
It is a bit strange. Well, do you know what else is quite strange? Is I just accidentally hooted. I didn't know Mila had an active hooter in her. I did it with my leg as I was trying to take a picture. I did receive some dirty looks from people though, but the lions didn't seem to care. They didn't even twitch an ear. It was quite funny. I gave myself a bit of a fright too. And then I remembered Jamie during a TV show when she was doing an ad break, and the immobilizer was going off, I think, in Wendy. That was so funny. And she was just absolutely mortified. I didn't know if she was with lions or leopards, but they didn't seem to care about it. It's funny how the animals get so used to the different sounds out here in the bush. A sound, though, that they don't seem to get used to is metal. Tinging of metal. That's a very unnatural noise. Now, little one, you've seen your siblings waking up in the long grass. Now, it wants to obviously come down to come and play with everybody. Let's see how this goes. I'm actually very impressed this morning. This is obviously not the first tree that the Ololola lions have climbed. They seem to be fairly good at it. Even the youngsters to some point have a bit of coordination. See, there we go. Well done. You were lucky, because if that was any taller, you probably would have slid down. Are you very chuffed with yourself now? You're making a few little noises. They're very vocal. Very soft little murmurs coming from this little lion. There we go, strutting its stuff. Now, Gizmo, you're wondering if a lion's nail could pull right out if it gets stuck? Most certainly, they'd quite easily lose a claw, and unfortunately they won't get another one either. So, even though they like to climb trees, they need to be quite careful of the way that they go about it. And this pride of lions don't seem to do it all the time. Sorry, I forgot I have to lay flat down. I've got to get into the couch position. Hey, Manu? If you all saw me now, and I can't imagine what all the other people are doing, staring at the sky, they must think, what does she do? Is she on holiday? It's like I'm still at the beach relaxing. Just trying to get out of frame. Sorry, everybody. I'm a bit out of practice here. There, they rested their mouth. Now, Patrick, you're wondering if lions would take their kills up into trees. No, they shouldn't. The books say they shouldn't, and I have not seen a lion taking its prey up a tree. Again, it will have very underdeveloped muscles in its shoulder, I would assume, and even in hindquarters to be able to lift its own weight up a tree. Again, leopards have been practicing this, so they've developed those muscles that they need. But I was just thinking about this, funny enough, Patrick, and we've seen these young lions and how there's one that's running around with a bit of hide in its mouth. I wonder if that little one would let go of it and maybe run with that piece of hide and take it up the tree, just because it, like a kid, it doesn't want to let go of its toy, it doesn't want anybody else to play with it. That would be really interesting, because theoretically then it is taking some form of flesh up a tree. That, of course, has not happened. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm hoping that it does, because isn't that just throwing a spanner in the works? Hey, to be able to say, oh no, but I've once seen a lion carry a chunk of flesh up a tree. Obviously not for the purposes that a leopard would, of course, to stash its prey up there, to try and keep it nice and safe, to keep it away from predators like lions. But no, lions don't do that. Now, Anna Marie, you're wondering what makes lions less nimble than leopards? I suppose just the way that they're built. I mean, lions are much bigger cats than leopards. They've got, obviously, leopards and lions have both got very powerful shoulders. They've both got very powerful hindquarters. But leopards, like we were saying, I suppose it's just they've spent more time in the tree. It's like a swimmer versus a runner. You're not just born into the body of a swimmer or into an athlete unless you've got exceptionally long legs and you're going to be a good sprinter or perhaps a long distance runner. But your body changes over time. If you spend most of your time in the water, you're going to start building up those muscles, specifically the ones that you'll be using more while you're swimming, versus if you're a gymnast, you will build up different muscles in comparison to a swimmer. So I think it's just all got to do with the amount of time that they spend doing these things. And because lions don't spend much time up in trees, they haven't, unfortunately, they don't have the abilities like the leopards do. And then, of course, with evolution over time, certain things sort of started changing too, but they're fairly much the same. Leopards just aren't quite as bulky as lions are. I reckon, though, if you had lions that climb trees from day one, every single day, they spend quite a bit of time moving from tree to tree, branch to branch. Right, but we're going to go from one lion to another in a lioness that I have not seen for very long, and it's a girl with the most gorgeous eyes.
We are indeed still with our lions here in the Sabi Sands, and we just wanted to point out while we're here not only her gorgeous, gorgeous eye, because we're actually parked a little bit closer now and we can zoom in, but the fact that these two lions have been the exception rather than the rule, and it looks like they've had a snack in the meantime since we've seen them. So for me, that means that the rest of the pride has probably killed something not far from here, and then they were just sort of close enough to indulge. So again, remember, it's not the norm, but it does happen from time to time, as we talked about earlier. We can just see that their bellies are a little bit more full. Ravinda, you're curious to know if a nomadic lion will challenge this male. So Ravinda, this male here is part of a coalition of 4 brothers together. The only reason why the other brothers aren't here is because this one's busy mating. So if a nomadic male were to come in, he would be challenging all 4 of them. So the 4 brothers are not always consistently together, but they're together enough that one nomadic male on his own would have a very, very hard time with a challenge like that. And nomadic males will come through this area. It does happen, but they're also going to hear the 4 Birmingham males roaring together as a coalition. So they might decide to avoid the area. But also, that being said, we don't always have them here with us on Djuma. Because they move around. So if a nomadic male came through, because sometimes we go weeks without having the Birmingham males here, and in those interims it'll rain and then their scent will be washed away. If a nomadic male were to come through, he might decide that this is an area that he wants to set up camp and stick around, and then the next time the 4 Burmese were to come through, you might end up with a scenario where there would be a little bit of an aggressive interaction, but one male against 4 would definitely not win. Jeff, that's a really great question. Jeff, you wanted to know, how does the coalition decide who will mate with her? Jeff, to be honest with you, I don't know. And the reason why I'm going to say I don't know is I have seen so many different scenarios within a coalition, either a pair or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. And I think it's some sort of internal message or clock that they have within each other. Because the female will go into estrus, and I've seen the females go into estrus and have the brother of a male, and like he's a skinny little thing. You didn't think he would be the one that would mate, and he's the one that's mated with her and then her sister after that, and the other male's just gone off and defended territory and marked. So Jeff, I don't actually know, and I think there's probably a lot of theories out there. I've heard some of those theories before, but I don't think that they've actually hit it on the nose yet, and I think we'd be hard-pressed to get a definitive answer. It could also just be that he's the one that picked up on her estrus scent first. That to me would be the most likely scenario of any of the scenarios that I've heard. Ryan, you'd like to know if a lioness ever doesn't get pregnant after mating. Ryan, I'm sure it happens. I personally haven't seen it happen, but I'm sure it does happen. You will have scenarios where there will be a sterile female, or an older female sometimes has trouble taking. But in my experiences, I haven't run into it yet. But I'm sure it happens from time to time. She's slowly waking up. Ed, interesting question. You'd like to know how long a lion's claws get. Ed, that's also a question I don't have a definitive answer for you. Most of the time they're not protracted. There, she's up. But I would guesstimate when they're fully out, they're probably about 2 centimeters, if not maybe a titch longer. Would be my guesstimate. Alright, so remember, as lions start moving, they yawn, they stretch, and they scratch themselves and move around, so they're going to get moving just now. Sorry, Nikki, I didn't hear which viewer, but I did hear that the question was that what are those marks on the back of her neck? They've been around for a while. Inda. So, Inda, you're curious to know what those marks are there. Inda, we were chatting about it a couple of days ago, and it is interesting because some of them have been there for quite a while, and then some of them are going to be new. It comes a bit from mating. So when they mate, the male will grab the back of her neck there. Sometimes some of those are going to come from being aggressive at kills with her pride members. So those are going to be your main 2 instances for those marks on the back of the neck. But the ones that you're seeing now, the really sort of fresh ones that are poking out, are from the mating that's been happening. That tongue is amazing. A lion's tongue feels like wet sandpaper. Wet, spongy sandpaper. It's incredible. Okay, Amber Eyes. There's your beautiful yawn. Now remember, female lions and female leopards instigate the mating process. The males do not. So when she's done grooming herself and making herself look pretty, she'll rub her lady parts in his face, and then he knows, okay, it's time. If any of you joined us the other day when Vildy and I were at Biffleshoek Dam, and he kept trying to instigate before she was ready, and she was turning around and smacking him and growling at him, she just wasn't happy, and then she would make him wait. And I do personally think she prolongs her grooming period right now just because she can, because she knows exactly what he's waiting for. Sorry guys, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Hopefully that will help. Sorry, madam. And he's doing his best to be as submissive as possible, so lying on his flat side. And I'm sure he's watching her, but he's also doing his best not to move too much. He doesn't want to do anything that will make her change her mind. Now, she might just decide that she's groomed and lie back down. She might decide that she's hot and get up and just move into the shade. But usually, when she's in heat like she is now, just any of that movement of getting up will elicit a response of a mating period. And then she'll go into the shade and then lie down. She's got a very strict internal biological need at the moment. All right, while we're waiting for her to get up, which should be in the next few minutes, let's head on over to Scotty D on Bushwalk, who has some poo he would like to show you.